Hello, my name is Alana Whelan of the Cleveland Stater, and I'm here with fellow Stater reporter Tang, and we are here with Robert Thurmer, the art gallery director at Cleveland State University, and we are talking about the 23rd People's Art Show.
It's the People's Art Show, so if you're a person, we don't accept works by cats or elephants or dolphins. You have to be human, and but there's no age restriction, so there's a few probably that you've seen by children. There's a nursing home that had some work on the wall there. You might have seen that. So any age, no requirements as far as education is concerned. Anybody can do art. There are no size limitations. There is no limitations on medium. Subject matter, it obviously can be abstract, it can be figurative, it can be offensive, and some of the work was kind of, borderline offensive, but we do not judge. We accept everything that comes in the door.
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite?
Yeah.
That's a good question. There are some works that are very good. I like Joan of Arc over here. That I think she's very smart. She's a very good artist. She's been participating for probably 30 years,
Wow.
And so if I had to pick one favorite, that would be a candidate. There's some other ones that I think are really quite excellent. There's a few photographs that I think are very interesting, like that sculpture down there with the eggs, the bird's nest and the eggs. I think that's real.
When you did this art show, did you have a particular theme in mind, or was it just any
It's open.
art? It's open.
We sort of put a subtitle with it, like freedom of expression or anything goes or anything like that. But we don't do that anymore because we don't want to guide people into thinking that it is a particular theme. We wanted to leave it open as much as possible.
I was wondering, what is the process of people submitting their artwork? Do they come here physically to give it to you, or?
Yes. So it says here, all entries will be exhibited. To exhibit, bring one or two works of art in any medium, subject, size to the galleries on Friday, October 12th or Saturday, October 13th between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. No prior registration is necessary. Participation is free. Suggested donations of $5 per entry will be gladly accepted. The galleries will take a 25 commission for work sold. Adjust pricing accordingly. So that's all the instructions that people have. Nothing else. So you bring it in. You can bring it in for somebody, as long as you know all the, you need to know the name of the artist, you need to know the title of the work, the medium, which is what we list on the label, and the price. That's all. But very often, like for instance in the case of the nursing home, one person brought in for the whole nursing home. Sometimes we get whole classes, students, where the teacher brings in 30 pieces from her class or something like that. That's perfectly legitimate as long as the person dropping the work off has all the information that we need. And it's a suggested donation, but you're not compelled to. We won't look at you askance if you don't give us anything. And the donations are used for basically the opening reception, the party. We serve soft drinks and beer and pizza. And we had, this year we had 3 Mediterranean plates, which is, it comes with hummus and baba ganoush and all that. And veggie trays. And it's a good party, We spent basically all of our income on the food.
So do you typically get a lot of people to come to the opening?
Well, there's not quite 300 artists, so if all the artists come, and they bring a boyfriend or girlfriend or a friend, that's 600 people right there, you know. And then the mother-in-law comes too, you know, or the neighbor. So we have, you know, sometimes we have close to 1,000 people through here.
Wow.
It's a good party.
So throughout, this goes to when, December 6th?
7. It's, Saturday.
Do you get a lot of people coming in and out, like, during the hours?
It varies, you know. It's really kind of unpredictable. Even though we're really in the most populated part of downtown, you know, we have more foot traffic outside the window here than basically anywhere else downtown. You'd be surprised that how difficult it is to get people in the door, you know. Most people come specifically to see the show. We get very little just drop-in traffic. We've been thinking about that and wondering why that is. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that people are on their way somewhere and they don't have the leisure time to come in here and spend an hour looking around. But we do get some foot traffic. It's not that we don't get any. It's just that you'd think you'd get a lot more. You know, you'd think you'd get hundreds of people coming in, but that's not true. At any one point in time, other than the opening reception, there's no more than maybe 20 people in here at any one time. So which is good, because the 20 people that are in here, they have the leisure to really look in peace and sort of, you know, understand what's up and, you know, contemplate it.
For like all of these art, I know you said people had to know the name of the artist, what the name is, but do they ever tell you the story behind it?
Yes, oftentimes artists want us to post like a narrative along with the work, which we try to do as much as possible, but in the interest of uniformity and visual appeal, we sometimes decline, because sometimes the narrative is not very well presented, and it takes up space that we don't have, and it is really, with 300 artists, it's really too much work to keystroke everything in fresh and reformat it so that it looks professional, you know. So very often we don't. In some cases, like for instance, there's this the women's marches over here. They gave us a narrative that we posted because it looked professional enough, you know. Other times, you know, we would get into like having to edit and spell check and everything, and we prefer to decline, you know. Excuse me. But if at all possible, we try to do what the artist wants.
I see that you had a piece down there. I was wondering if you could tell me a couple of stories about those.
Those are not new works. I had I worked on something that I was hoping to have done in time for the show, something brand new. But I just ran out of time, so I produced these works that had never been shown before here in Cleveland before, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show this type of work that I used to do. And these are handmade bricks. You know, every single brick is handmade, believe it or not. They're fired, and they're put together with bathtub caulk. So they're very flexible. Decided to just, yeah.
Do you typically get a lot of Cleveland State students?
We wish we could get more. It's always advertised. All the artists or the artist teachers that we have here are encouraged their students to submit. But it's really hard sometimes, you know. It happens right around midterm that these things are due, and students prefer to get their papers written, and if they're art students, to get their artworks done in time for midterm, or they're studying for exams. So we have many fewer students participating than you'd think. My staff is all students, and I encourage them to submit. And sometimes I twisted an arm or two, but even with the staff, it's difficult to get everybody to submit a piece. I always like to have all the faculty, all the art faculty submit a piece and get as many students as I possibly can.
And do you often, or do you get a lot of people buying works?
We sell a lot during opening night when people are excited, and they see it for the first time. They are more inclined to buy. And then toward the end, which it gets closer to the holidays and people are thinking of gift ideas. Mm-hmm. And then when they come to pick it up, there are some sales. And artists buy each other's work a lot too, you'd be surprised. They collect each other's work. And artists are aware of the value of art, which is not always easily communicated to the general public, It's very difficult to communicate the fact that art is very intrinsically valuable, not just the money that you could possibly make on it, but that it's important to make art, it's important to look at art, it's important to own art.
Plus, you can interpret the art however you want.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's I teach my students that all the time. It's not a math class where there's one right answer. Mm-hmm. You give a project and you have 20 students in the class and there's 20 right answers. It's a different it's a different proposition from other academic endeavors.
So what do you hope that people coming to visit will get out of the exhibit?
Well, to be inspired, honestly. Because this is the people's art show, everybody's a people, everybody's a person. And so hopefully they take away with hey, I can do this, And so even if they have no training, if they've never thought about making art, they might just come away with saying, maybe I should try this, or I have an idea for something that they didn't have before they walked in. It's always good to have ideas. And to work on something. Art exists at the intersection between mind and body. You have to have an idea to have a work of art, but you also have to produce something physical. So it's that membrane between the visible and the invisible, where art exists. And that's a good place to explore for anybody.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of my friends are artists. But sometimes they don't think that their art is good enough. So what do you say to them?
Well, come here and look around. Is it good enough to hang on this wall? And this is a professional place. This is a professional art institution. So we hang it and we look at it and we contemplate it. So the answer to that is you don't know until you do it. And that the fact that the medium doesn't matter. You can scratch something out on a with a pencil on a piece of lined notebook paper. And it can be a work of art. And you can go all out and gold leaf something, but it doesn't have to be that. You can. That's another misconception, is that art has to be fancy. It's not true, Sometimes just a couple scratches on a piece of paper will be very meaningful, can mean something to a person. And there's also the aspect of art being therapeutic to the artist, that not all artists, but some artists use it for therapy. They use it like others use meditation or sports. Some people run to get their frustrations out. Some people do art, and there's that aspect which is also very valuable. And then other people have something to look at, which is a point of connection with other humans.
So this is the 23rd show?
Mm-hmm. Okay. The first 10 were annual, and then it became a biennial. So, It's been going on for at least 30 years since I've been here, and a little bit longer even, because it was already, I think, in its third or fourth iteration before I took it over. I've been here 28 years now, so it's a long time.
What's your favorite thing about art?
Of art, both looking at it and making it, is an exploration of the human mind, and it's the tangible evidence of somebody's existence, But it goes beyond, say, we all, unless we get cremated, we all leave bones behind, But there's art is different in the sense that you have to want to make something. You have to want to produce something. You can't help but grow a bone or a tooth, But art is dependent on a decision, and it's dependent on a mental process that I find fascinating, So there's that aspect to it. And then the communication aspect is interesting too, because it is a reflection of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're thinking about. And even though I might not have the exact same experience as the artist, we share something, and there's such a thing as empathy, and there's also there is the true possibility of connecting with another mind through art,
There was one. I see a TV out there. What is that used for?
That actually typically runs a video, but we run it during the show. There's a video piece. Did you go into the media room too? There's this.
No.
Well, there's videos running in the media room too, because we accept performance art too. We haven't had any performance art in a couple of years, or a couple of instances of the People's Art Show. But we used to have back in the aughts, we had several scheduled performances of performance art. Where people would propose a work of art to be performed at a certain time, and we would publish that more or less, and then people would show up for it. We haven't had any of that in a long time. But video, we accept, and we had so much video actually that we put some of it on the monitor and some of it in the media room. And did you see the Get Out the Vote installation? That was a class.
Yeah.
That was a graphic arts class.
I like the interactive component of that.
Yeah. We that's another thing that we used to have more of in the past. This interactive stuff. For some reason, this show, for as pretty as it is, I must say it's one of the prettier shows that we've had. It is very tame, and it is very conservative. It's mostly painting, drawings, photography, sculpture, ceramics. In the past we used to have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things. Hard to even just remember it all. That people doing performance art and people doing installations and hanging things from the ceiling and hanging themselves from the ceiling. So this is very tame, actually, as far as People's Art Shows is concerned. This is very tame, but it's pretty, and there's some very nice looking stuff in here.
Well, I can't wait to see more in the future.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to wait. It's always the last show of the year in even numbered years.
Okay.
So, it's always it always runs from middle of October to just before winter break. Actually, last day of instruction is usually when the show comes down, because we work on an academic calendar, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta come back and get some art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do bring your friends.
Come back and look at it.
Bring your mother-in-law.
Yeah.